Smarterfan. Smarterfan. Yeah. Smarterfan.
Hey everybody, welcome to another segment of Smarterfan Podcast, where we bring you behind the veil of sports, business, and life. I'm Joe, and this is Barry. How you doing, Barry?
I'm doing well, Joe. How you feeling today?
Oh, I'm feeling fine. I'm feeling fine.
Good. Sound like you had a little avocado salad. You sounding a little peppy today. A little peppy.
Yeah. Well, all right. So we've talked about some great boxers, and some of them were before my time, but I've always been a student of pugilism. And I'm going to talk about Rocky Marciano.
You may have to tell our fans what pugilism means. That's a big word.
Yeah, it's the art of boxing.
Okay, now we talking. Okay.
And so he had a brief amateur career, and he went 8-4. And along the way, he tried out for one of the Chicago Cubs farm teams, and he lasted like 3 weeks before he was cut. So he went back to Massachusetts and began his boxing training, and he turned pro in 1948. And he had his first 16 fights he won by knockout, all by the 5th round. And he won another 9 fights by knockout before the first round was over. So he had to go through a bunch of contenders to get a title shot at Jersey Joe Walcott. And one of the contenders was his idol, Joe Louis.
Oh, wow.
And and he beat Joe Louis, and after the fight, he cried because he had to beat his idol. And so he defended his title 6 times, and twice he defended against the Cincinnati Cobra, Ezzard Charles. And those fights were epic. I mean, they gave as good as they got. And Charles damn near split Marciano's nose. That's how savage that fight was. His last fight was against Archie Moore.
Wow.
And Archie Moore, he fought like in 2 different decades. So
Archie was no joke. Archie was no joke. To be able to fight at 50 years old, Archie Moore was a different kind of guy.
Oh yeah. And he was one of 2 boxers that actually knocked Marciano down.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Wow.
So then in 56, Marciano retired at the age of 32. And he decided, he thought about making a comeback in 59, but he decided against it. So he stayed in retirement, and he was a boxing commentator and a referee for many years, and then sadly in 1969, he was killed in a plane crash.
Really?
Yeah, everybody, he was flying in a private plane. He was flying to Iowa, and the plane crashed, and everybody on board was killed. And this was it was sad. And this was a day before his 46th birthday.
Man, that's crazy.
So he finished he finished his career 49-0 with 43 knockouts. So
that's a bad man. Now I got a piece of trivia for you. And the trivia is true or false. I couldn't help it. Our producer put the trick question bag in my lap last week, so I came up with one. You've been beating me 20-0. True or false? Was there a discussion with Rocky Marciano coming out of retirement to fight Muhammad Ali? True or false?
That's false.
No, actually, it's true.
Oh.
It's true. Yeah. Yeah. You can go on YouTube and there's an interview with Marciano contemplating and telling the interviewer, yeah, I was at one point considering coming out and fighting Muhammad Ali because I think at that point Muhammad was really he was the cat's meow, you know. And
Yeah.
so people had been, I guess, in Marciano's ear of coming out of retirement because you think about it, he retired at 36 and he died at 69. That means pretty much
32.
at 32. That
Yeah.
means pretty much he was catching Ali on his ascendancy
Yeah.
from Cassius to Muhammad. So he was in, he was on his ascent, and so he decided against it.
And incidentally, Ali's first opponent was Archie Moore.
Yeah, at 50. Yeah,
Mm.
yeah, yeah. So I got one, so I guess it's 20-1 your favor.
So you wanted to talk about sports as a business, and which it
Yeah,
is.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I just been inundated with different podcasts and different conversations about the refs' behaviors during NBA games. I call it over officiating, being overly critical. But I mean, a player. I mean, CP3 got ejected at 6 minutes, 6 seconds left in the game the other night, and then you got
Mm,
to ask yourself, what could he have possibly said? What
mm,
you know what I'm saying? What could he have possibly said that you as a ref couldn't just chalk up and let it ride at 6 seconds left in
mm.
the game, right?
Jeez, yeah, really, that's ridiculous.
That's ridiculous. And I've always said there's certain telltale signs, like when you look at leagues and their ebb and flow, because they all ebb and flow. It's
Mm.
stuff like that because you really kind of see. I still can't figure it out if you have instant replay, how you can make a bad call. I just don't get it. How do you miss a call when you have instant replay as a way to slow the call down and actually look at who fouled or who violated the rules and you still get it wrong? You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
it really gives me a sour underlying taste because I heard about this particular player on Gilbert's show.
Mm.
Um, and I really don't think people understand. This is why it's really important to understand. There's a reason why betting was put out of sport. There was a
Mm.
reason.
Yeah.
It's not new. It's not
Yeah.
new. Vegas is not new. Vegas has been around a long time. And it's because of the cheating and the scamming and from a lot of different people. So this particular
Mm.
player, it appears, made some bets as a player in the NBA, not a top 1, 2, or 3, and over under to the point where he wasn't betting because that's tracked, but he had
Mm.
other people betting
Mm.
basically on him and how
I
much
know
he
who you're
would cover
talking
the
about.
over. Yeah,
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 I
the
know what you're
over
talking about.
under.
Hmm.
And like, I'm sitting there listening to this and I'm going, one night you're out because your eye hurts. Next night you're out because you're not feeling well. Next night and I'm sitting there going, you don't think they have this tracked? You don't think they have people who watch patterns?
Mm.
As Uncle Shay Shay said, these are $1 billion businesses. Las Vegas ain't built on winners; it's built
Mhm.
on losers.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I'm sitting here, and all Gilbert could do is shake his head and go, "This is so stupid." So you throw away your career it's just sad, And we've seen it, and we talked about it. The same thing with NFL players. Some NFL players doing the same thing, and I just say these are one of the many ills of sports betting.
Hmm.
And what grown people decide to do with their own money, that's their business. But it's just sad. It's really sad, and it's really ruining the game.
Yeah,
and which
I
is
think so.
which is its history, right?
Yeah.
When it came to the fore. So on that, I'm gonna switch. I'm gonna throw it back to you because we got the 700 million man in the MLB who's caught up in what, a potential
Gambling.
gambling situation. So
You
I'm
know,
throwing it back to you, my
yeah,
buddy.
it's I mean, this whole situation raises more questions than it answers.
Yeah.
I mean, this guy first he says he gives an interview, a 90-minute interview where he says that, you know, Ohtani, he told Ohtani that he was 4.5 million in the hole and he asked him to help him out. And so Ohtani was wiring money to this bookie, this illegal bookie who was being investigated by the feds. And then Ohtani's people turn around and say, "Oh, no, no, no. He did no such thing. Uh he stole that money." you know. So then later, like a week later, Ohtani says a statement saying, "Oh yeah, he robbed me. Had no idea this was all going on." You know, um, my question is, what bookie in his right mind would give somebody that much money in a line of credit? You know, without having somebody backing that up. So,
Do you want
you
me to
know,
answer that? Do you want me to answer that?
please do.
Okay. This is why I've always felt it wasn't fair to athletes to broadcast how much money they make, because all you basically do is throw blood in the water with
Mm,
sharks. So
mm,
the reality is, Otani could be totally correct. First of all, he doesn't speak the language, which doesn't make
mm,
any sense to me because you have enough money to get a tutor,
mm,
right? Obviously, there's always someone in your camp who's trying to be greedy and leverage their relationship with you
mm,
to make some more money.
mhm,
It's just the way it is. Someone is just can't handle the shine, right?
mhm,
And again, I'm sick and tired. Let me calm down. This idea that you don't know where $4 million is going says two bad things. You're not in
mm,
control of your money, and who's in control of your money is not for you. And
mhm,
as I like, many athletes, smart athlete has said, why do you need somebody to sign? There's only about 5 or 6 things as a grown adult you need to oversee.
mm,
Why you can't oversee that? Why do
mm,
you give it off to somebody? Either, Joe, we are purchasing something, right? Long term or short term. You're making certain investments, long term, short term.
mhm.
It's really that simple.
And
I,
what
it's,
is the
it's,
root? What is the root of this whole situation? Gambling.
Thank you.
Gambling.
I rest my case, Your Honor. I rest my
Okay.
case.
So, RIP to Peter Angelos. He was the owner of the Baltimore Orioles. He passed away at the age of
Oh
94.
wow. Oh, Mr.
Yeah.
Angelos. Wow.
And he bought the team in 93 for 173 million. And
Mm.
some of his, with a group of investors that included Tom Clancy, Barry Levinson, and Pam Shriver. Those were his investors.
Mm.
So um, he was the only owner to refuse to use replacement players during the baseball strike.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and in '99 he orchestrated an exhibition game between the Cuban national team and the Orioles, and that was the
Mm.
first time. Yeah, yeah, that was the first time since 1959 that a big league team had played in Cuba.
Wow, that's monumental. Wow,
Yeah,
that's mon.
yeah, and now his sons just recently sold the team for 1.7 billion. So I'd say that's a hell of a profit.
Yeah, he did quite well. They did quite well with that, Dad. Thank you so much, Dad.
Yeah, you
That's
know.
quite a multiple. Thank you, Dad.
Okay, and so now Trevor Bauer, he's been playing in Mexico for the Diablos Rojos,
Mm-hmm.
and what he's doing this in a bid to try to showcase his skills, to try to get back in the big leagues after that long suspension he was on for sexual assault.
Oh boy.
So
Mm-hmm.
he said what he's doing is, he's keeping himself in pitching shape
Mm-hmm.
in case anybody. So he'll be ready, willing, and able in case anybody
Mm-hmm.
calls from from MLB. So that's basically what he's trying to do. So
Yeah, he needs to get a therapist.
yeah, that too.
No, I mean, I don't say that, mistakenly on, but, again, that's part of it because we live in a social media. So if a team can then be able to say, hey, man, this guy's really got the fire back, which they are
Mm-hmm.
evaluating, but they're also able to say, he's been over the last 6, 8 months, he's got a therapist, blah, 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 blah. There's some damage control, right? There's some
Right,
damage control. And
right.
so, again, I keep saying it, athletes are going to have to become far more sophisticated and
Mm.
well-rounded if you're going to be an athlete in this era. Just going to
Mm.
have to do it because
Oh.
social media puts everything you do on blast,
Right. Well,
good,
speaking of
good and bad.
athletes of this era, what's going on with Saquon?
Oh, I'm going through the airwaves. I'm hearing people, oh, that's Saquon. How can he go to the? And I love Saquon. Loved him back in PA, and I call this the classic issues that athletes deal with ownership. I'll give you
Mm.
an example. Somebody said to me, well, what do you mean by that? I said, interesting. The Broncos screwed up with Russell Wilson and took a financial hit and didn't even hiccup. Didn't even
Mm-hmm.
hiccup because it was
Mm-hmm.
in the best interest of the franchise, right? They did what they
Mm.
needed to do, cut their losses, and that was a big piece of steak to cut off.
That's for
Big
sure.
piece, right? No whom harm, you haven't even heard anything out of Bronco Nation, right?
Yep.
Saquon negotiates with the Giants as Saquon has been the only consistent offensive weapon they've had.
Right.
Through injuries, through everything else, they haven't been able to get it right on the field. GM wise, coach wise. How many coaches have been through the Giants organization over the last 7 years, right?
Yeah.
Right? They haven't been able to get together. But this young man coming out of college has been their only bright spot,
Mm-hmm.
and he's been asking for a deal for 2 years. They can't figure it out some way to get it done, but they get it done and decide to roll in their best interest, as they always do. What they feel is to pay Daniel Jones, who probably won't be there in 3 years, if two, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
$160 million, with a significant amount of that being guaranteed,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Saquon says, obviously, you don't want me here. Obviously, you don't value me here. I don't want a franchise tag anymore. That does not secure me and my family at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And somebody offered him the money to make it happen. So he left.
That's right. That's
And
right.
as I said to somebody, it's no different than you. You're working for an organization. You've been negotiating with them a raise. They feel that you're not worth the raise, and your competitor offers you what you're looking for. Are you telling me you're not leaving your corporate organization? No, no, I'm not saying that. So I said, what's the difference? Because he runs a football? Crickets. Haven't heard anything from them.
I think
So,
they're more upset that he went to the Eagles.
which to me doesn't really make, I understand rivalries and I understand what it is, but again, it's a business. It's a
Yeah.
business, right? So I'm going to do whatever I can to get an advantage. And don't be surprised if Philly is back in the playoffs and the Giants are not.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Don't
Yeah.
be, I'm telling you something about injuries. This is what's really made me laugh. He's probably going to have an all pro season.
Yep. Yep.
Mark my words, because the injuries, now he's healthy, now he's got confidence back in his legs again. Have mercy.
And
It
he
may
won't
it
be the workhorse.
and he won't be. You imagine having to think about Jalen Hurts and Saquon
Mm-hmm.
and Brown. Oh, it's about, and I'm not a Philly fan, but it's about to be on in Philly.
Mm-hmm.
It's on to be Philly.
Mm-hmm.
But I saw you sneak a note in there to one of my my favorite coaches. She's just so awesome, from Tennessee, the
That's
one, the
right.
only Pat Summit. What you got to say about Pat? I always love Pat.
Well, since this is Women's History Month, and in the spirit of March Madness, got to give her props. She played on the very first women's basketball team to play in the 76 Olympics, and they took the
Mm,
silver, and she was a co-captain of that team. And then in 84, she coached uh, the Olympic team that won the gold, you know.
mm.
So she became the coach of the University of Tennessee at the age of 22.
Wow. She was
And
there a long time.
oh yeah, yeah, yeah. And she never had a losing record, and in her 38 years, she won 8 titles
Mm,
and won 1,098 games.
wow.
Yeah. So, and those that rivalry between Tennessee and UConn, that was intense.
Yeah, those young ladies were balling out.
I mean, every time you turn around, either Tennessee was there or UConn was there, or they both were there.
Yeah,
You know, you
yeah.
know. So
They had a run there. They had a very serious run.
yes, they did.
Yeah.
Yes, they did. And in 2011, she was diagnosed with the onset of Alzheimer's. You
Mm,
know, yeah. So and she retired in 2012, and that same year she was awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom by Barack Obama.
wow.
Yeah, yeah, and unfortunately, she passed away in 2016, 2 weeks after her 64th birthday.
Mm.
So, but she left a legacy that's going to be tough to top. You know,
Yeah, I don't know how. I don't know. I think there's certain legacies you can't top, because you were talking about a woman who at the time was taking the helm in the SEC South
mm,
of
hmm
basketball, predominantly men's sport, at a particular time where the money was not large.
hmm
It just wasn't that demanding.
no,
And so for her to pioneer, be one of the pioneers of that, says is huge, 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 huge. And so I've been always a fan of hers, and what she's
mm,
accomplished, and
me too.
it's
Yes.
it's it's just one of those great things. Yeah,
Mm.
yeah, yeah.
So, what's going on with the NFL and the NBA?
I'm casting out a theory,
Hmm
Joe. I'm looking at the current NBA, which is soft as noodleroni,
hmm
and I'm looking at the current NFL, and it's soft as noodleroni.
mm
And I'm like, these owners are trying to create a game for more global appeal. Um, and
Yeah.
they're ruining the game.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, they are implementing that kickoff rule I told you about,
Which one? Which one? They moved the
where the
line?
where the kicker kicks from the 35, and the other 10 players line up on the opposing team's 40,
Uh-huh.
and nobody can move but the kicker and the receiver of the ball. And there's going to be no fair catches, and I think touchbacks are going to be at the 35. So
Oh Lord.
they're going to do this. They're going to try this for 1 year and see how it goes.
Why? Anyway, they're just ruining the game. They just keep ruining the game. Right?
Yeah.
And so, my position is the money, things move in a pendulum, right? So it goes from
Mhm.
bad to worse, or better to worse, or better to sort of good. And it's just and what's really sad is that these current fans, these current 25 to 35-year-olds really haven't seen real NBA or real football.
No,
They're seeing a version. I'd rather see 7-on-7, real 7-on-7 football than this hybrid of foolishness that you currently have on in the NFL. I would rather. Actually, I said to somebody, the Big Three has a tremendous opportunity to really blow that league up, bringing back real basketball, real defense, real basketball. And I said, mark my words, that is going to become. I'm already looking forward to it. Even it's going to increase its popularity. Watch.
Yeah.
And somebody said to me, well, what do you think about this Caitlin, whatever? I said, if she goes to the Big Three, I ain't mad at her. Get that check. I don't think she's going to be success. I think very few females can be successful playing against men in the Big Three because there's nowhere to hide.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like you would have to really be of the caliber of a Lisa Leslie to do that. And even then, it would be tough. And Lisa is a straight up, she's a machine, bro. She's like 6'8", long, athletic. Cheryl Miller in her day could do it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But
it would
be, and it would be tough for them because on a 3-on-3, there's no place to hide. Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
They don't have the body of a man. Right? So obviously we're talking a more finesse shooter type situation, which gives the advantage over to the other three. Right? But on a 5-on-5, Cheryl Miller's going to give you the business. On a 5-on-5, Lisa Leslie's going to give you the business. So I don't, but on a marketing end, it was a smart move. I would have done it too. And I think we could be looking at a Big Three that if they continue the trajectory they're on, could 2 to 3 years from now expand it to maybe 5-on-5.
Well, we'll see.
It's going to be interesting. So I salute you, Ice Cube. Keep it going.
So what's Coach Prime doing?
Man, Coach Prime had me cracking up. He over in the Dominican Republic with his boys, getting a little vacation. He did an incredible book tour. I would tell anybody to pick up his book, pick up the audio book. It's awesome. It's incredible. But he over there, and he literally went out for a jog, cut across the golf course. The knees tightened up, Joe. The back tightened up. He couldn't figure out how to get back to the golf.
That's a damn shame.
He calls Darius and Bookie. They out there on the golf course trying to find him. Oh, I was crying. He said, well, I was running the other day on the asphalt, and I figured I'd run on the golf course to give me less pressure. Now I'm out here, and I took a seat, but I don't know where I am, and I don't know how to turn on the locator so they can find me. So I'm just out here.
Shame.
Man, I was crying. So I guess I'm officially old. I don't look like it. I don't feel like it. But now the kids is looking for me, and I'm lost, and I don't know where I am. Oh my goodness, Joe.
Jesus
Coach
Christ.
Prime he's probably, I would tell people, literally what you're watching is the dawning of college sports.
Well, time will tell.
No, it's telling right now, bro. And I'll give you the numbers and leave it there. He literally has increased again the enrollment at the University of Colorado. You know, I got to talk about money.
Oh, no doubt.
Right?
No doubt.
He's increased the bottom line, ticket sales, concessions, merch. I just bought something else with the University of Colorado on it, right? I just bought the book. So he's literally, I guarantee you, by the time he's done, and I think probably 2 or 3 years, he'll be done. The numbers are going to come in, and please, fans, come back and remind me. He would have generated over $500 million of net income in total for the University of Colorado.
Mm. Yeah.
Yeah, he's literally on that trajectory. So these are just not numbers pulled out. But if you look at, the recruits, the media coverage last year with ESPN, all of that stuff, all of that, the advertising, the stuff he's doing, quote unquote, in his private lane, right, as consultant and this, that, and the other. Man, listen, his book tour, that all puts shine on the University of Colorado. He's teaching classes there. He's doing marketing there.
Yeah.
So, man, I tell anybody right now, let me tell you something. They go 500 or they go to a bowl, move my number up to 1 billion.
Well, that's the business of sports.
You figured me out. You got me again. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. It's the business of sports, and I love it. And it's exciting times we live in, fans. And so just stay on the bus, because the smarter fans, you know what we say, stay in the game.
That's right.
Smarterfan. Smarterfan. Yeah.